clarity, no rush, just certainty. Randolph leaned back, lighting a cigar with unhurried precision. The flame flickered briefly between them before settling into a thin curl of smoke. He slid the wine bottle across the table toward Minnow. "Pour," he said. Then he stood, just like that. The moment did not linger for him. He moved toward the open doors, stepping out onto the balcony beyond, the night air receiving him as though it had been waiting. He did not look back. Silence pressed in, thick, uncertain. TC rose. He moved with that same unbothered ease, collecting the space Randolph left behind without effort. The two documents were slid toward Nyala and Minnow, one atop the other. "You should discuss it privately," he said. Minnow looked at him, tension barely contained. "What exactly is going on?" TC regarded him for a moment, then spoke. "Mr. Denisova is offering you 22 projects," he said. "Guaranteed, structured, funded." Nyala swallowed. "And the second contract?" TC's gaze shifted to her. "You already suspect." She held his eyes. "Say it," she said quietly. TC exhaled, slow, almost thoughtful. "People often think of men like Mr. Denisova as singular," he began, his tone drifting into something more reflective. "But he isn't. Not entirely." Minnow frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means," TC continued, "that what he represents exists in many places. In ambition, in hunger, in the part of a person that wants more than they've been given." He looked between them. "He is simply a very refined version of that." A pause. "And I," he added lightly, "am the hand that makes those desires official." the one that signs where others hesitate. Nyala's voice was steady now, and here, right now. TC reached into his jacket, pulling out a card, turning it once between his fingers before slipping it back. Here, he said, I am Trouble Coolidge, attorney to a man who can give you everything you've been working toward. Minnow let out a quiet, disbelieving breath. Trouble? Yes, TC said politely. I am. Nyala didn't look away. What does the clause require? She asked. TC answered plainly. That you spend 3 nights with Mr. Denisova. The words settled, cold, final. Minnow's jaw tightened. TC continued, as though discussing logistics. The contract also requires that you remain married for a year following the commencement. 50% of the total value is paid up front. Nyala felt the room tilt. Not physically, but in meaning, in consequence, in weight. TC stepped back, giving them space. If you need me, he said, I'll be nearby. And then he left them there, with the documents, with the silence, with the choice. Back in their wing, the door closed behind them with a softness that did not match what followed. Nyala turned before Minnow could speak. No. The word came sharp, immediate, alive with something that had been building since the moment the offer was named. No, she repeated, pacing once across the marble, her hands trembling, not weak, but restrained. That was not an offer. That was... She stopped, searching for something strong enough. Filth, she said finally, dressed up in silk and contracts and polite language. Minnow said nothing. He stood near the table, the documents already open in his hands, his eyes moving across lines and clauses as though the words themselves might rearrange into something easier. Nyala laughed, but there was no humour in it. Do you understand what he did in there? She asked, turning back to him. The way he spoke about me, about my body, as if it were part of the negotiation. Her voice deepened, studied, not calmer, but more deliberate, as if I were something to be included. Minnow kept reading. Nyala's chest rose, fell. There is something sacred in me, she said, quieter now, but far more dangerous, in women like me. She stepped closer, her voice carrying something older than the moment. My skin is not just surface. It is history, Minnow. It holds stories that were not allowed to be told, beauty that was denied and still endured. It is resilience shaped into form. Her hand pressed lightly against her chest. My body is not a transaction. It's not something you price or borrow or pass between men who think desire makes them entitled to it. Her eyes burned now, not with tears, but with refusal. It is chosen, she said, given, never taken, never negotiated. Silence answered her. Minnow turned the page. That was when she saw it. Not just silence, distance. Say something, she demanded. He exhaled slowly, lowering the papers just enough to meet her eyes. I am, he said. I just need you to think about it. Nyala stared at him. I have thought about it. No, he said, more firmly now. You reacted to it. The distinction landed like an insult. Minnow stepped forward slightly, the contract still in his hand. Look at what this is, he continued. Not just the condition, but everything around it. He tapped the document lightly. 22 projects, guaranteed, funded. Do you understand what that means for us? Nyala didn't answer. It means stability, he pressed. Real stability. Not scrambling, not hoping, not waiting for someone to notice us. His voice gained momentum. It means we build something that lasts. A company, a name, a future where we're not worrying about rent or cars getting repossessed, or whether the next job is coming. Nyala's expression hardened. It means children, he added, softer now, raised without fear, without limits. Every opportunity, every advantage given. Her stomach turned. We would never have to struggle again, he said. And all it costs is me, she replied, her voice cutting through his. Minnow shook his head quickly. That's not what I'm saying. It's exactly what you're saying. He stepped closer. I'm saying it's 3 nights. Nyala recoiled slightly. 3 nights, he repeated. And then it's done. Finished. Behind us. Her face shifted. Shock now. Raw and visible. You think that disappears? She asked. That I just return from that and we go back to normal. We decide what it means, Minnow insisted. No one else. No one even has to know. I would know, she said. His voice softened, almost pleading now. And I would be there, he said, after, with you. We'd move forward together. Nyala stared at him, as though seeing something unfamiliar. You're asking me to give myself to another man, she said slowly. I'm asking you to secure our future, he replied. At what cost? At a temporary one, he said quickly. For a permanent gain. Nyala shook her head, stepping back. I don't recognize you right now. Minnow's expression tightened. I'm trying to protect us. No, she said. You're trying to justify this. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration breaking through. I'm trying to be realistic. And I'm trying to be respected, she snapped. Silence hit hard. They stood there, two people who had walked into this house together, now separated by something far larger than distance. Nyala's voice dropped. If I do this, she said, will you be able to live with yourself, knowing what you've asked of me? Minnow hesitated, just for a second. Then, I'll fix that after, he said. The answer landed heavier than anything else. Nyala closed her eyes briefly. Something in her sank. Not loudly, but completely. They went to bed without resolution. The space that had begun to feel like theirs now felt unfamiliar again. Too large, too quiet. Minnow reached for her once. She shifted away, not violently, just enough. A boundary drawn without words. He didn't try again. They lay in silence, backs turned, miles apart in inches. And sometime in the night, Nyala's breath began to break, softly at first, then deeper. She pressed her hand to her mouth, keeping the sound contained, unwilling to let it reach him. The tears came anyway, quiet, steady, carrying everything she had not allowed herself to release before. And beside her, Minnow lay awake, saying nothing. In the days that followed, they buried themselves, not in rest, not in comfort, but in work. Work became the language they spoke instead of truth, the place where their hands could move without answering the questions that lingered between them. Hours stretched long into evenings. Evenings folded into nights. And in the restless motion, they found a strange refuge. Where there had once been conversation, there were now plans, measurements, corrections, instructions. Nyala would catch herself watching him, not deliberately, but suddenly, her gaze lingering on Minnow as he moved among the workers, as he spoke with that steady authority that had returned to him. And sometimes, as though feeling the weight of her eyes, he would turn and find her there, looking not softly, not warmly, but deeply, as if searching for something beneath him. And each time he would look away first, but time, like water against stone, soften even the sharpest edges. The rage within her did not disappear. It thinned, it stretched, it grew tired of burning. She found herself once unexpectedly laughing quietly at something Minnow had said to one of the workers, his humour rough but genuine, the men around him responding with easy respect. It startled her, that sound, her own laughter, as though it had returned from somewhere far away. And as the structure rose around them, as walls took form and intention became visible, she felt it again, that old, steady pride, the thing she loved about this work. Creation, control, purpose. It reminded her of who she was, of why she had come. When they began speaking again, it was careful, measured. Their words moved like glass between them, handled gently, placed with intention. Did the materials arrive? She would ask. Yes, he would reply. I checked them this morning. A pause. Good, good. Nothing more. But even in that restraint, there was something fragile being preserved. A peace neither of them trusted enough to test. A week passed, and still Randolph watched from distances, from shadows, from balconies where light cut around him but never fully revealed him. And Nyala, she watched him back, unflinching, unyielding. Whatever passed between them then, in those moments, it no longer unsettled her. It clarified something. That evening, TC knocked. Nyala had just stepped out from the shower, a towel wrapped loosely as she dried her hair, the air still warm around her. "Mr. Denisova is expecting you," he said from the doorway. No greeting, no build-up, just the next step. Minnow looked up immediately, tension tightening his posture. Nyala only nodded. "I'll be ready." They dressed with intention, not extravagance, but precision. Nyala's presence settled into something undeniable. Her form held in clean lines, her hair shaped with quiet defiance. She did not adorn herself. She declared herself. Minnow stood beside her, strong, composed, every inch the man he had remembered himself to be. Together, they looked powerful, like something inevitable, like a pair that had already decided their place in the world. And yet, beneath it, there was a hollowness, a quiet awareness that what they wore so well on the outside did not fully exist within. Power without peace, beauty without rest. They knew it, even if they did not say it. Minnow picked up the contracts, his fingers lingering slightly on the pages. "Are you ready?" he asked. Nyala met his eyes in the mirror. "I am," she said, and she meant it. They walked hand in hand again, through the dim skeletal middle of the house, toward something final. The doors opened, and the room was alive. Candles flickered across the vast table, their light soft and golden, casting shadows that moved like whispers along the walls. At the center lay a whole roasted hog, glistening, abundant, almost ceremonial in its presence. It was beautiful, undeniably so. and yet there was something beneath it, something ancient, something that felt less like celebration and more like offering. Randolph greeted them warmly, as though none of what had passed between them had ever been anything but polite conversation. "Welcome," he said. Cognac was poured. They drank. The warmth spread quickly, loosening edges, softening awareness. They spoke of work, progress, deadlines. Everything felt normal, too normal, until Randolph set his glass down. "Have you signed?" he asked. Minnow stepped forward, placing the documents on the table. Randolph opened them, flipping through with practiced ease. A pause, then, "Only one of you has." Nyala's breath stilled. She turned to Minnow. "You signed?" Minnow hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." The world felt smaller than it should have. TC stepped forward silently, offering Nyala a pen. She took it, felt its weight. Randolph watched her, a faint smile touching his lips. "You both look extraordinary tonight," he said. "I look forward to experiencing a piece of that intensity." Nyala didn't respond. She looked down at the contract, then back up. And when she spoke, her voice was calm, clear, but edged with something sharper. "I've read this thoroughly," she said. Randolph's gaze heightened with interest. "And I noticed something curious." She tapped lightly against the page. "It doesn't specify me." A pause. "It specifies a party of the Masterson couple." Silence settled. Understanding began to form. "Which means," she continued, her eyes now on Minnow, "it could be either Nyala Masterson." Her voice lowered. or Minnow Masterson. Minnow's face drained. Nyala, I nominate Minnow, she said. The words landed clean, final. Minnow stared at her, disbelief breaking through. Randolph lifted his glass, taking a slow sip. Acceptable, he said. At the far end, TC nodded once. Nyala signed. The pen moved steadily, without hesitation. Then she placed it down and looked at Minnow, not with anger, not even with triumph, but with something deeper. You ask me to measure my worth in sacrifice, she said quietly. Now you understand what that truly costs. A pause. You don't get to decide what love survives. She stepped back, turned, and walked out, leaving him there, still, uncertain, afraid. And for the first time, Trouble Coolidge smiled.